All right, so we're talking about British imperialism in India today. And a lot of this, should be a review. If you remember back to last year with India, you talked about ancient India, but what do we remember about ancient India? It was, yeah, it was. Now it's still off. We should pick it up here. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. What do you remember about ancient India? What was Indian society like? What was it? What guided their society? Caste, good job. Caste system. Um, yeah, so you had your dharma, which was your duty and your caste. If you did that duty, you got good karma, and you got reincarnated in something better, right? That's sort of what guided Indian society. It's outlawed now. But that's what was happening. That's important to understand too, because when the British take over, and they do it gradually, right? And this is sort of the change in imperialism that happens. At first, the British East India Company, which you remember from early American history, right? They took over, they basically put money into expeditions to go to America. They do this in India as well. Primarily in the beginning, it was about money, right? It was about getting raw materials. It was about selling their goods to Indian people. And so for a while, that's the way it went. They did some positive things. They built some roads. They brought peace. Had some British law and Western law that was, helping people. But it also obviously did a lot of negative things. Eventually, when we get into decolonization, we'll talk about how Gandhi leads the Indian people to independence from Britain, which doesn't happen until 1947. But it also employed local Indian people called sepoys to work for them. Basically, they're mercenaries that fight for the British Army and get paid for it. So for a while, for Britain, if you think about the ideas, the difference in ideas, right? You just talked about the caste system. For Britain, the caste system didn't make sense, right? The ideas about human rights and stuff like that for the British were a lot more, I don't want to say advanced, but definitely more about equality, right?
Are we supposed to be writing
Is this follow along in your notes?
Yeah.
Okay. You can write in anything I say on the right side. Anything that's not
on
out
any
there.
page?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this is all yours. It's just I printed it off all filled in by accident.
Oh.
Well, most honors classes I make just not even have filled in notes. You just have to take it.
Yeah.
You have to do that last year.
But I like that better because I feel like I'm just writing when I look at the board, but then if I have to listen, you know what I mean?
I'll mix that in.
She went too fast. Yeah, like with Mr. Finney did he would have a thing with blanks in it, but he would just explain it, and then if you heard what the answer was, then you wrote it down. Right. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Instead of having it on the board.
Yeah. I'll sort of go back and forth with what I do. But you got these filled in. And again, you can write in stuff on the side. Maybe if you want to draw arrows or if you want to do annotations or whatever you want. Underline words. That helps too. So, British wanted to end slavery on the caste system. But they forced them to follow certain rules that were against the beliefs. And this is part of the issue with imperialism, right? You force your beliefs on the people that you're colonizing, right? And this is part of the problem with it. So the British outlaw sakti, which is a practice where upper class widows were expected to throw themselves into funeral pyre of their husbands and join them in death. Which again, to us, being from America, this sounds like a crazy idea, right? And it probably is. But for them, this was normal. And this is just what you did. Right? It was part of their culture. And so to do that angered many Indian people. They required sepoys, who again were the military Indian people that the British paid to travel and work overseas, to practice laws that let widows remarry, which didn't happen in Hindu culture. And then sepoys were required to use gun cartridges that were greased with animal fat from cows. Now, this is what ultimately causes the Sepoy Rebellion. We're going to talk about that in a second. Basically, the old guns that they had, I think they're Enfield rifles. I'm not really a gun person, I don't know much about guns, but when you used to have to clean out the cartridge of a gun, right? You think about the Civil War era, where you had to you shot the gun, and you had to clean it out, you had to load it with gunpowder, and then shoot it again. Well, the thing they cleaned it out with was grease of some sort. The cow is a sacred animal in Hinduism. So basically what the British were doing, were telling the Indian soldiers that it wasn't cow fat that they were using to clean out the gun cartridges, and it really was. So when the Indian people found out that, this is a sin in the Hindu religion to use any part of the cow because it's a sacred animal. And so it was against their religious beliefs, and that sort of was the last straw. And it tips off what's called the Sepoy Mutiny or Sepoy Rebellion. So you have tensions rise, and the Sepoys call for Hindus and Muslims to unite against the British. And this is sort of the turning point in the British occupation of India. They tried to set up this mutiny. They tried to set up this uniting of Indian people. But eventually the British rally with their superior army and crush the revolt. And they take revenge. They burn villages. They slaughtered thousands of unarmed Indians. And what it did is that it caused the British leadership back in England to say, hey, how's it going? They called again and said, it's a me there. Well, Amy is down there already.
Oh my god. I was tired. I was so excited when they came back there. Oh, see, me too. Yeah,
Alright, we're talking about the Sepoy Mutiny, which is part of British imperialism in India. Your notes are already filled in, so you can take on some ones on the side if you want to underline it. But the British, basically, it was not really part of the empire up until this point, but after the Sepoy Mutiny, it becomes like a British colony, actual colony, right? And becomes the crown jewel in the British Empire. But it caused these bitter feelings. And the British had to really clamp down on some of their policies. East India Company is no more, and it officially, again, becomes a direct colony. They send national troops in. The British East India Company just could not occupy it on their own anymore. And they start taxing it as well. I'll show you a quick video. Sepoy Mutiny. But you can't hear that, so I'm going to have to stop.